co-founder of Inc. Magazine's 2012 Coolest College Startup of the Year, Ministry of Supply.
Yes, that's correct.
Kevin graduated from MIT Technology in 2011 with a degree in mechanical engineering. Prior to graduating, Kevin co-founded Ministry of Supply, a dress shirt company with MIT classmates in 2010. Kevin is currently CEO of Evolution of Noise, a product development company that is working on several new customer products, including a re-engineering of business cards using laser etching.
That's correct.
And I was teasing Kevin earlier that when I run into someone as brilliant as he is at his age, I'm always fearful I'm going to wake up one day and be working for you. Kevin, share with us.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman Schweikert, Ranking Member Clark, members of the subcommittee. I'm so glad to be meeting with you and that you'll take the time to hear my testimony. As Chairman Schweikert mentioned, I graduated from MIT in 2011 with a degree in mechanical engineering focused in product design. My senior year, I got into Stanford Business School. I've deferred that for 3 years to work on interesting new high-tech and high-growth startups. I've had experience with different types of funding, family and friends loans, angel investors, and most recently, donation crowdfunding through Kickstarter.com. The company I last founded, Ministry of Supply, creates high-tech business apparel for men. I'm actually wearing one of the shirts right now. And I just want to talk a little bit about what we did on Kickstarter. Our goal was $30,000 last July. You have to meet or exceed that goal to maintain those funds. We raised, in a little over a month, a grand total of $429,000. The Jobs Act will greatly increase entrepreneurs' chance of success by going beyond things like crowdfunding and really talking about crowd investing when you need further access to capital, as we did, and I'll talk about today. With Kickstarter, it's very interesting. For consumer packaged goods, what I focus in, it's really become a pre-order destination. And what was phenomenal about our product and service is that we did what in the startup world is known as going viral. So a global viral PR strategy enabled us to get over 100,000 views of our videos with pre-orders from over 24 countries. Unfortunately, what ended up happening afterwards, well, it was so exciting. We had so much funding that we began to rapidly scale a supply chain and hire new employees. However, the money that we were offered from multiple investors around the world, many of whom were smaller investors, we were unable to take based on lack of legal precedent and vetting tools. We experienced the deep irony of having a great business opportunity and having to turn investors away. I just want to delineate the difference between equity-based and donation-based. Donation-based crowdfunding is a great opportunity. However, it is not nearly as reliable as equity-based, as dictated through the Jobs Act. One of the interesting things as well with high-tech, high-growth startups is dilution. When you have a limited number of investors, say an angel investor community that surrounds the entrepreneur or venture capital associations, you deal with smaller potential valuations. Simply, the entrepreneur is subject to whatever valuations the market will bear given the number of investors they have. If you open up to the crowd, I believe this will have a leveling, smoothing effect that will enable further growth. The timing of the Jobs Act is very important with regards to the global stage. Mass Challenge, Boston-based startup competition that's one of the largest in the world, actually received applications last year from 35 countries. Mass Challenge, like the marketplace, is judged solely based on traction and market adoption. Competition is now a highly global democracy. It's very important that America matches the speed of global competition. I believe the Jobs Act will help us do that. I believe also that crowd investing would be used. There are limitations on other types of investing. Angel investing, you're talking about connections in the liquid market surrounding the entrepreneur. Venture capital, it's the idea of being proven. They reject 98% of startups that walk into their door. And crowd donation, you're really dealing with the time window. Does your product exactly match that window? And as far as I know, in terms of entrepreneurs that I've met over the past 6 years, given new effective crowdfunding tools, we would make quick use of them. In conclusion, crowd investing within the Jobs Act clearly demonstrates or will demonstrate America's continued commitment to developing the next generation of small businesses and startups. It remains vital to consider all elements of supporting startups, especially other items that are caught up in legislation, including the startup visa. New businesses are very difficult ventures to undertake. There are a ton of risks, and I have found, as well as my colleagues, that we spend a lot of our time fundraising, as Bill mentioned. As I've noted, I've used a variety of tools to create new ventures, both for product design and business development. My hope is that my colleagues and I can continue to create new ventures in a way that leads and inspires the world. I eagerly await the day that I can fully utilize crowdfunding and crowd investing to help create successful new ventures. I thank you for this opportunity to explain the concerns of the startup community, and I welcome any questions.
Kevin, thank you for sharing with us. I'd like to yield to the ranking member.
As someone who has successfully used the Kickstarter platform to raise capital for your small business, what recommendations would you make to the SEC to ensure that new equity-based crowdfunding rules are workable for both investors and issuers?
So I think that's really interesting. With Kickstarter, what happens is a lot of it is centered around the companies themselves and the videos that create. And so as Chairman Schweikert was mentioning, a lot of it is very review-based. So there's a lot of back and forth there. I think the SEC would have to create something very simple. If they were to, just from the company's perspective or from the investor's perspective, I would want a lot of that regulation bottled up into the crowdfunding or crowd investing platforms themselves. It is imperative that the system is very, very simple. The biggest thing in startups is time, right? So the longer something takes, the longer the process takes, the more you spend on legal, the less likely it is that you are to use that. And so a lot of friends and colleagues of mine have been coming to me asking about Kickstarter advice because it is such a simple and elegant tool. There is a large back end for the companies, and there should be for investors as well.
And my final question to you is, what is high-tech apparel?
The eternal question. The eternal question. So we create synthetic materials that have specific properties. So the easiest one to explain is the dress shirt that I'm wearing. So a regular dress shirt has issues with wrinkling and holds moisture. This one does not. So it has special properties like you can wear it for 4 or 5 days because it doesn't smell. It has an antimicrobial coating. It has a phase change material inside of it, which is the same thing used in spacesuits. So it can hold your body heat. Store that, so if you're out on a hot day, it'll pull that heat away, and then if you go into a cool environment, it'll release it back to you. So it's basically, as the blog TechCrunch put it, a magic shirt.
Very cool.
Thanks.
The magic shirt. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, it just sets your mind erasing, doesn't it? Mr. Bentivoglio.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I think it's more appropriately named the Smart Shirt.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a very good idea. Actually, in another committee, we were discussing military uniforms. Is there any chance you could get involved with us on that, in developing a smart uniform?
I could speak with my former partner about it. There was an SBIR out about 1.5 years ago that we were going to apply to, but certainly, yeah.
Well, that'd be great. And just one last question. How can I get you to come to my district and give a seminar on how to do a startup?
My email is just my full name @gmail.com.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you. I yield back my time, Mr. Chairman.
Well, that's not fair. We wanted to get him to our district first.
You're going to be fought after.
Thank you. This is one of those unique occasions. I have sat through hundreds of hearings from, from my time in the state legislature to here in Congress. As a collection of witnesses, you're singularly the most interesting group I think I've ever had in front of me, because it's rare for me to look out and say, I'd love to sit down and have a coffee with each one of you. So thank you for joining us today. You may find that we may send you some questions to put into the record. So, and let me see, make sure I do the proper closing. Okay. And with that, I ask unanimous consent that the members have 5 legislative days to submit statements and supporting materials for the record without objection. So ordered. The hearing is now adjourned.
Thank you.